Emily Harper's morning began like any other, though a faint sense of unease lingered. London's skyline shimmered under the early sunlight, the streets slowly waking to life. Emily sipped her coffee, fingers tracing the rim of her mug as she scrolled through her phone. The faint aroma of freshly baked croissants from the corner cafe drifted through her apartment, mixing with the soft hum of morning traffic outside. She glanced at the framed photo on her wall. Emily and James at their wedding, arms entwined, smiling at the camera. It was her favorite photo, capturing a moment she had once believed to be eternal. James had left early this morning. He had kissed her goodbye at the door, slipping his hand into hers for a brief, almost ritualistic moment. "Business trip," he had said, flashing the smile that had melted her heart the day they met. Emily had nodded, waving as he walked out, closing the door behind him. Everything seemed normal, perfectly normal, but a small voice inside her whispered something she tried to ignore. Why did he seem distracted this morning? Why leave his phone unattended? Emily shook it off. She had work to do, and she was never one to dwell unnecessarily on suspicions.
Emily's life was ordered, almost meticulous. She worked as a graphic designer at a boutique design agency in central London. Her routines were comforting: morning coffee, checking emails, skimming social media for inspiration, walking through the nearby park before work. Her apartment reflected her personality: modern, organized, with splashes of warmth, framed artwork, fresh flowers, a neatly stacked bookshelf. Even her wardrobe reflected her taste, chic but understated. Yet, beneath the surface, small cracks began to show in her seemingly perfect life. A text from James asking her to approve some last-minute business trip expense, a vague explanation about a client meeting that had supposedly run late, and a fleeting nervous glance as he left the house. Tiny, almost imperceptible signs that something wasn't right. Emily didn't want to notice, didn't want to feel the creeping doubt, but her intuition whispered louder than the sounds of the city outside. It was around 10:30 a.m. when Emily's phone rang. The display read, "Bank of London, important call." Her brow furrowed. James usually handled most of their banking matters. With a mix of curiosity and unease, Emily answered, "Hello?" The voice on the other end was formal, almost chilling in its calmness. "Mrs. Harper, we have a situation. Your husband is here at the bank with a woman who looks exactly like you." Emily froze. Her coffee trembled in her hand, and she nearly dropped it. "Excuse me? What did you say?" she whispered, heart hammering. "He's here, and the woman, she resembles you closely. We thought you should know immediately." Time seemed to stop. Her mind refused to comprehend it. Business trip? What business trip? Panic surged, clawing at her chest. Emily dialed James's number frantically. Ring, ring, voicemail. Her hands shook. She dropped the coffee mug. It shattered on the kitchen floor. This can't be real. It just can't. Emily grabbed her coat, phone, and keys. She had no plan, no strategy, only one thought. She had to see it herself. London streets blurred as she drove, the rain beginning to drizzle, streaking the windshield like tears. Every traffic light felt like a countdown. Every pedestrian crossing felt like a signal of looming disaster. Her thoughts swirled, memories flashing, James's smiles, their wedding, small promises whispered in candlelight. Was it all a lie? She forced herself to focus on driving. Each mile brought her closer to a confrontation she had dreaded but could no longer avoid. Emily entered the bank, the sterile air a stark contrast to the storm raging in her chest. Polished floors, fluorescent lights, the quiet hum of computers. Everything was ordinary, yet nothing felt normal. And then she saw them. James stood near the teller's counter, perfectly composed on the outside, and next to him, a woman. A woman who could have been her twin, same height, similar posture, the same dark brown hair tied neatly. Even the way she held herself mirrored Emily. Emily's breath caught, her world tilted. The calm she had felt just hours ago had vanished completely. The woman, Sophie Clark, turned slightly, catching Emily's gaze. Their eyes met, and Emily felt a chill run down her spine. It wasn't just a physical resemblance, it was the confidence, the calm, and the subtle smugness in her smile. James noticed Emily, his eyes widened slightly, panic flickered across his face. Then he attempted to speak. "Emily." Sophie's glance silenced him. "You need to hear the truth. All of it," she said softly, yet the words carried weight, chilling and deliberate. Emily clenched her fists, her mind a whirlwind of fear, disbelief, and anger. "What do you mean?" she demanded. Sophie extended a hand, holding a small envelope. "Open this when you're ready. Some truths are heavy." Emily's heart pounded. She ripped it open, finding photographs, messages, and receipts that confirmed James's deception. Her stomach churned. This wasn't a simple affair. It was meticulously orchestrated, planned with precision. James's voice trembled. "Emily, I didn't want you to find out like this." Emily's phone buzzed with a cryptic message from James. "Some things are better left buried." Emily's hands shook as she held the envelope. Sophie's eyes glinted with secrets Emily had yet to understand. The bunk alarm blared, a minor glitch, but it added chaos to the surreal scene. Her pulse raced. Her calm morning, her ordered life, and the trust she had in her husband had been obliterated in a single call. The camera would linger on Emily's face, wide eyes, trembling lips, shallow breathing. "I need to see this with my own eyes. I need to know the truth," she whispered to herself. Emily's pulse raced as she stepped further into the bank. Every polished tile, every fluorescent light, every ordinary customer seemed alien now, like background extras in a life she no longer recognized. Her eyes locked on James. His posture was perfect, like nothing was wrong, but Emily noticed the tremor in his hands as he fidgeted with his briefcase. The calm veneer was cracking, and Emily's gut told her that the real storm was about to erupt. And then there was Sophie Clark. Emily's stomach twisted as she studied Sophie. Every detail mirrored her own. Same height, same hair, similar eyes, but there was something else. A confidence, a coldness, a control that Emily didn't possess. Sophie didn't just look like Emily, she dominated the space around her, subtly, silently, making the people in the room seem like shadows compared to her presence. Emily swallowed hard. Her voice trembled slightly as she called out, "James? What is going on?" James's face paled. He opened his mouth, tried to speak, but Sophie's gaze cut into him. The silence between them was heavier than any words. "Emily, please," James whispered, his voice barely audible. "No, I want answers, now." Emily turned hardened. The calm, trusting wife she had been that morning was gone, replaced by someone ready to confront the chaos head-on. Sophie stepped forward, her movements deliberate, measured, almost choreographed. She extended the envelope toward Emily with a faint, unnerving smile. "Open it," Sophie said, her voice soft, almost melodic. "You need to see everything." Emily hesitated. Her hands trembled as she took it. The weight of the envelope felt almost physical, as though it contained not just paper, but a piece of her life that was about to shatter. "Why are you doing this?" Emily demanded, eyes narrowing. "Who are you really?" Sophie tilted her head, her smile widening slightly. "I'm someone who shows people the truth, Emily. But be careful. The truth is dangerous. Sometimes it destroys more than lies ever could." Emily's mind raced. Her instincts screamed at her to run, to escape, but her curiosity, her need for answers, kept her rooted. Emily tore open the envelope. Inside were photographs, James at restaurants with Sophie, James signing documents she didn't recognize, messages on his phone revealing detailed plans, receipts from hotels and taxis. Every item screamed deception, betrayal, and planning. It wasn't just an affair, it was calculated, meticulous, and frightening. Emily felt her chest tighten. This can't be real. This can't be happening. James tried to speak again. His voice was weak, trembling. "Emily, I didn't mean, I thought I could handle it." "Handle it? Handle what?" Emily shouted. Her voice echoed in the bank hall, drawing stares. Sophie's calm smile never faltered. You think this is about him? It's not. It's bigger than you imagine, and it's only starting. Emily's heart raced. Bigger than James? Bigger than Sophie? What could possibly be bigger than this betrayal? A bank staff member cleared her throat nervously. Maybe we should step aside, Mrs. Harper. This situation. Emily shook her head. No, I want answers here, now. Sophie glanced at Emily, her expression calm, almost taunting. You need to understand, Emily. Lies have layers, and James, he's trapped in a web he didn't even know existed. Emily's fists clenched, her pulse raced. She realized that James's business trips weren't just lies to cover infidelity. They were part of something more intricate, something dangerous. The customers shifted uncomfortably, whispers rippling through the bank. Emily ignored them, focusing solely on James and Sophie. Why her? Why me? What does she want from us? Emily demanded. Sophie's eyes gleamed. You'll see, and when you do, you might not like the answers. Emily took a step closer. James, look me in the eye. Tell me everything, now. James swallowed hard. His eyes darted to Sophie and back to Emily. Emily, I didn't want to hurt you, but she's part of something I didn't understand. I thought I could manage it. Emily's mind reeled. Manage it? Manage what? Sophie's voice cut through the tension. James, it's time. No more lies. Show her everything. Emily's stomach churned. She realized the envelope was only the beginning. What Sophie had orchestrated was far more elaborate. James wasn't just lying. He was caught in a scheme that Emily had barely begun to comprehend. Emily backed away slightly, trying to catch her breath. Her mind raced, trust shattered, world flipped. The man she loved revealed as a stranger. Sophie leaned forward slightly. Emily, you need to make a choice. Confront it or stay blind. But know this, the deeper you go, the more dangerous it becomes. Emily's fists clenched again. I will not be manipulated. I will know the truth, no matter how terrifying. James looked devastated. Emily, please. Emily's gaze shifted back to Sophie. Something about her calmness, her calculated demeanor, made Emily realize Sophie wasn't just a woman James was involved with. She was the puppet master, and James, and perhaps Emily herself, were pieces in her game. Emily felt her phone buzz. A new message flashed on the screen. Some things are better left buried. Trust no one. Her hands trembled. The envelope still clutched tightly in her fingers. Emily realized the horrifying reality. The terrifying truth was layered, dangerous, and far from over. The bank alarm blared, a minor technical glitch, but in that moment, it sounded like a siren of chaos. Customers looked around nervously. Emily looked at James, then at Sophie, and then back at the envelope. Her breathing was shallow, her chest tight. She whispered under her breath, "This is only the beginning." Emily stepped out of the bank, rain lashing at her face, drenching her coat and hair. London streets blurred through her teary, tense vision. The envelope still clutched tightly. Every photograph and message within burned itself into her memory. She had to get home. She needed space, silence, and a way to process the terrifying layers of deceit she now faced. The taxi ride was tense. Her thoughts were a cyclone. James's lies, carefully constructed. Sophie's calm dominance. Her cryptic words. The sense that she was not just confronting an affair, but a meticulously planned manipulation. When Emily finally reached her apartment, she locked the door behind her. She sank onto the couch, the envelope spread across her lap. I trusted him. I trusted both of them. How could I have been so blind? She whispered. Her reflection in the window looked back at her, wide, fearful eyes, lips slightly parted, and clenched fists. A woman transformed from innocence into suspicion, determination, and a hunger for the truth. Emily began meticulously going through the envelope. The photographs showed James and Sophie at multiple locations, cafes, hotels, even corporate offices. Receipts showed large cash withdrawals. Hidden emails revealed Sophie wasn't merely a lover, she had connections, influence, and a calculated agenda. Emily's gut twisted. This is bigger than a lie, bigger than a betrayal. It's manipulation, control, and danger. She needed answers, so she began tracking movements, retracing steps from the receipts, and checking social media for clues. Every discovery added pieces to a puzzle that was far more sinister than she had imagined. A subtle message appeared on her phone. Some things are better left undiscovered. Emily, beware. The unknown sender only heightened her anxiety. Sophie's reach seemed endless. She realized she could trust no one, not James, not even her closest friends. The terrifying truth was still unfolding. That evening, James returned. He was tense, aware that Emily had uncovered evidence he never intended her to see. Rain poured outside. The apartment was dimly lit, shadows flickering against the walls. "James, I can explain," he said, voice shaking. "Explain? Explain the lies, the deception, the calculated manipulation? How long were you planning this, James?" James's lips trembled. "It wasn't supposed to happen this way. I thought I could control it. Sophie, she's more powerful than I realized." Emily's eyes narrowed. "More powerful? What do you mean?" Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Sophie's silhouette appeared in the doorway, calm and collected as ever. "Emily, I'm glad we're finally talking," Sophie said, her eyes glinting with cold amusement. Emily's pulse spiked. She stepped back. "Why are you here? What do you want?" "To show you the truth," Sophie replied. "James is not the only one hiding. This entire situation, it's bigger than him, and now you're part of it." Sophie walked inside, deliberately closing the door behind her. Her presence was commanding, yet subtle, a predator in a calm human shell. "James is tangled in debts and commitments he never fully understood. I helped him, manipulated him, yes, but for a reason. And now you must choose, Emily. Do you confront this truth fully, or do you walk away?" Emily's mind raced. The web of deceit was massive. Sophie's manipulation was precise. James had been a pawn, and Emily had just realized she might also be caught in this dangerous game. Emily's instinct screamed, "I will not be a pawn. I will not be manipulated. I need the truth." "Tell me everything," Emily demanded, her voice steady despite the fear clawing at her chest. Sophie's calm smile deepened. "Very well, but once you know, there's no going back." She handed Emily another folder. Inside were documents proving James's hidden dealings, unauthorized financial transactions, secret meetings, and carefully hidden correspondence between James and Sophie. The orchestrated network was far more than an affair. It was control, manipulation, and danger. James sank onto the sofa, finally breaking down. "Emily, I never wanted you to find out like this. I was trapped. Sophie controlled everything. I thought I could fix it. I thought I could protect you. But I failed. I'm sorry." Emily's gaze hardened, her hands clenched into fists. "Protect me? You betrayed me. Every word, every lie, every moment. It was all a lie." James tried to speak again, but Sophie's presence dominated the room. She stepped closer to Emily. "The real question is, can you survive knowing the truth? Can you handle it without being destroyed?" Emily's pulse raced. Fear, anger, betrayal, and adrenaline all collided. She realized she needed to act carefully, but decisively. Emily took a deep breath, her mind racing. She decided to confront Sophie directly, knowing she couldn't wait for James to solve anything. "Sophie, this ends now. I will not be part of your games. I want the truth, and I want it all." Sophie's calm demeanor faltered slightly, a micro-expression, barely noticeable, but Emily caught it. "Very well," Sophie said. "You will see everything, but it may break you." Sophie revealed the final layer. She had been orchestrating James's business trips, his communications, and even influencing financial decisions to trap him in her plan. She wanted power, control, and to test Emily's resolve. Every detail, every lie, every betrayal was part of a larger scheme that could have ruined Emily completely if she hadn't fought back. Emily's mind worked at lightning speed. She realized the terrifying truth. James had been manipulated, Sophie was dangerous, and Emily now held the power to end it. Emily confronted James with Sophie's manipulations, showing him he had to own up fully. Then she turned to Sophie. "Your games end today. You don't control me, you don't control him. This stops now." Sophie's eyes flickered, just a hint of fear, but she smiled faintly. "Very well, but remember, the truth always has consequences." Emily took the evidence, the photographs, the messages, the documents, and decided to expose everything. James, though guilty and ashamed, agreed to face the consequences of his actions. The camera lingered on Emily's face as she walked out of the apartment into the rainy London night. The rain soaked her hair and coat, but she felt empowered. Her life would never be the same, but she had confronted the terrifying truth and survived. "I will never be fooled again." Detective Marcus Hayes, newly introduced, a subtle ally investigating suspicious financial activity. Emily returned to her apartment after the confrontation with Sophie. The rain had stopped, but the storm inside her mind was relentless. She spread out the evidence on her dining table: photographs, messages, receipts, and financial statements. Her eyes traced every detail, every action James had taken, every subtle manipulation by Sophie. It all formed a map of deception. Emily realized she hadn't even begun to uncover the full scale. She decided to take matters into her own hands, but carefully. She knew Sophie's reach was extensive. Every move had to be calculated. "I will not be her pawn," she whispered, her reflection in the window showing a fierce determination. Her phone buzzed, an unknown number. "Emily Harper, you shouldn't dig deeper. Stop now." The message was ominous, and her pulse raced. Sophie's influence was wider than she had imagined, but Emily refused to back down. She would discover the entire truth, no matter how dangerous. The next morning, Emily decided to involve the authorities subtly. She contacted Detective Marcus Hayes, a private investigator and former police detective specializing in financial crimes. Marcus was sharp, analytical, and calm, a stark contrast to the chaos Emily had been living in. "Emily, you've stumbled into a complex web," Marcus said after reviewing her evidence. "Sophie Clark isn't just an affair partner. She's orchestrating financial manipulations, and James has been caught in it. If we act carefully, we can expose her fully. But she's dangerous, and she knows how to manipulate people's perceptions." Emily felt a spark of relief. Finally, someone could help her navigate this nightmare. But the unease returned immediately. Sophie's reach was extensive, and Emily had no idea what traps awaited her. Later that evening, Emily returned home to find a plain envelope slid under her apartment door. No name, no message, just her own name in bold letters. Inside was a photograph. Emily walking to the bank earlier that day, taken from an angle that suggested Sophie had been watching her. A chilling note accompanied it. "Curiosity can be deadly. Stop digging, Emily, or regret it." Emily's blood ran cold, but she refused to surrender. She knew Sophie was dangerous, but now Emily also knew she had to be smarter, faster, and more cunning. "If you think you can scare me, Sophie, you're wrong," Emily whispered. Her hands tightened around the envelope. Emily worked with Marcus to track Sophie's activities. They discovered that Sophie had manipulated multiple people around James, creating financial traps, false identities, and intricate lies. Her goal was clear: control, power, and testing human vulnerability. Every revelation made Emily's stomach churn. The deception ran deeper than just an affair. It involved people who could ruin reputations, steal money, and manipulate social perception. Emily realized that confronting Sophie directly again could be dangerous. She needed a plan, patience, and leverage. "We need to expose her publicly," Emily said to Marcus. "Every piece of evidence, every manipulation, all at once. That's the only way." Marcus nodded. "We can do it, but you have to stay careful. She's unpredictable and dangerous." As Emily prepared, Sophie didn't stay idle. She sent more subtle threats, social media posts hinting at Emily's hidden secrets, anonymous calls, and intercepted emails suggesting her personal life was under scrutiny. Emily felt the pressure, the creeping fear, but she also felt determination. The psychological warfare intensified, but she was no longer a passive participant. She had become proactive. She began planning a confrontation that would leave Sophie with no room to maneuver. Emily and Marcus devised a plan: lure Sophie into a situation where she believed she was in control, but in reality, the evidence would trap her publicly. Emily pretended to retreat, showing vulnerability, letting Sophie believe she had intimidated Emily into submission. Sophie took the bait, overconfident, sending her final messages and arranging a meeting under the guise of a truce. Emily's pulse raced, adrenaline surged. She knew the climax was near. The meeting took place at a neutral location, a quiet warehouse on the outskirts of London. Surveillance cameras, covertly set up by Marcus, ensured that every action would be documented. Sophie arrived, calm, collected, and slightly smug. "Emily, I see you're still meddling," Sophie said, her voice ice cold. "Yes, and I'm done being afraid of you," Emily replied firmly. Sophie tried to manipulate her verbally, weaving half-truths and insinuations, but Emily had Marcus's support and all the evidence compiled. Every lie Sophie attempted to spin was immediately contradicted with documents, photographs, and receipts. Sophie's calm facade began to crack. The power she wielded over James and Emily unraveled in real time. "You underestimated me," Emily said quietly, "and you overestimated yourself." Sophie's eyes flickered, a rare hint of fear. Marcus triggered the evidence stream. Emails, photos, financial statements, and security footage were broadcast to a secure audience of legal authorities. Sophie had no escape, no allies, and no leverage. Emily finally confronted James, ensuring he understood the full scope of Sophie's manipulations. James was remorseful, ashamed, and visibly shaken. "I was trapped," James admitted. "I'm so sorry, Emily." "Sorry doesn't fix this," Emily said, calm but firm. "But you can start by helping me finish it." The final confrontation left Sophie exposed, powerless, and humiliated. She was arrested for her manipulations, fraud, and psychological control over James and others. Emily walked out of the warehouse into the rainy London night. She was soaked, exhausted, and emotionally drained, but victorious. She had uncovered the terrifying truth, faced danger, and emerged stronger. She looked at the rain-slicked streets, her reflection in the puddles sharp and determined. "I will never be deceived again," she whispered. James stood beside her, remorseful, but Emily knew the journey of trust and healing would be long. Yet she had reclaimed her power, her agency, and her life. The camera lingered on Emily's face. Wide eyes, tight jaw, but a look of unshakable strength. The rain poured, the city lights blurred, but she stood tall. Emily returned home after Sophie's arrest. London's streets glistened under post-rain reflections, lights refracted on the wet pavement. She sat in her apartment, the envelope of evidence finally resting on the table. Though the immediate danger was over, Emily could not shake a gnawing unease. Sophie's manipulations had been extensive, and Emily wondered, had they truly seen all of it? Her phone vibrated. A new message flashed. "Do you really know the whole truth?" Emily's pulse spiked. She froze. The message had no number, no sender. Was this a new threat? Sophie trying to continue her games from behind bars? Or was someone else involved? Emily realized that uncovering the terrifying truth was only the beginning. The web of deception could stretch further than she had imagined. James sat across from Emily that evening, guilt etched into his features. "Emily, I want to make this right," he said, voice low. "I've learned how dangerous Sophie was, but I also realize how much I hurt you. I'm ready to face the consequences, all of them." Emily studied him. His sincerity seemed genuine, yet her instinct told her to remain cautious. "You can help me by being honest from now on. Every step, every detail," she said firmly. "If there's more I need to know, tell me now." James nodded. "I swear. Everything from now on. No lies." Emily still didn't fully trust him, but she allowed a small measure of cautious hope to enter. Trust, she realized, had to be rebuilt brick by brick. Though Sophie was in custody, Emily and Marcus discovered that her influence extended further than anyone realized. Financial manipulations, fake accounts, and hidden accomplices were still active. "Emily, she's not done yet," Marcus warned. "Sophie's network is intricate. We need to dismantle every part of it before it causes more damage." Emily felt a surge of determination. She realized that the terrifying truth wasn't just about Sophie's manipulations of James. It was a larger system of deceit, built to control, manipulate, and destabilize lives. She began working with Marcus, gathering evidence from hidden accounts, tracing emails, and documenting the entire network. Every revelation added new suspense and danger. Emily started receiving mysterious messages, cryptic texts, anonymous calls, and subtle surveillance clues suggesting she was being watched. "Stop digging, or you'll regret it," one message warned. Emily's fear was tempered by determination. She realized Sophie, or someone connected to her, was still trying to intimidate her. She installed surveillance cameras around her apartment and coordinated with Marcus to monitor any suspicious activity. Every shadow, every unfamiliar car outside, every anonymous call was treated as a potential threat. Emily received a tip from Marcus, a safe house connected to Sophie's network where hidden documents and computers were stored. "This could be the key to unraveling everything," Marcus explained. "If we get these files, we can dismantle her entire operation." Emily agreed, fully aware of the risk. The suspense was at its peak. Any misstep could alert Sophie's remaining allies. They planned a late-night operation, carefully moving under cover of darkness. Emily's heart raced with anticipation, fear, and adrenaline. Inside the safe house, Emily and Marcus discovered files revealing shocking secrets. Sophie had manipulated multiple wealthy men, creating fake identities and financial traps. James's business trips had been part of a broader scheme orchestrated by Sophie's network. Hidden threats suggested that Sophie had contingency plans in case she was caught. Emily felt a shiver run down her spine. The terrifying truth had layers she had never imagined. "This is bigger than we thought," Marcus said gravely. Emily's mind raced. They couldn't just expose Sophie, they had to dismantle the network entirely, ensuring no one could continue the deception. Suddenly, a video message played on one of the safe house computers. Sophie's face appeared on the screen, calm and chilling. Emily, you think this ends with me? You've only scratched the surface. Every move you make is predictable. You cannot stop what is coming. Remember, curiosity can be deadly. Emily's pulse spiked. She froze. The message had no number, no sender. Was this a new threat? Sophie trying to continue her games from behind bars? Or was someone else involved? Emily realized that uncovering the terrifying truth was only the beginning. The web of deception could stretch further than she had imagined. Emily and Marcus coordinated with authorities to raid the remaining safehouse locations connected to Sophie's network. Every room, every locked drawer, every hidden computer revealed more of Sophie's manipulations. Sophie's influence crumbled as Emily watched. The psychological games, financial schemes, and manipulative networks collapsed under scrutiny. Sophie was cornered in court, confronted with evidence she couldn't escape. Her calm facade cracked as the weight of her actions was revealed publicly. Emily stood in the courtroom, unwavering. She had faced fear, betrayal, and danger, and emerged stronger. Emily finally walked out of the courtroom into the cool London evening. Rain-slicked streets glimmered, reflecting the city lights. James approached, remorseful, offering a tentative hand. Emily looked at him, taking a moment to breathe. "Trust isn't rebuilt overnight," she said softly, "but we start from here." Emily turned, walking forward alone, the weight of the terrifying truth finally lifting. She was stronger, smarter, and ready for the future, free from manipulation, betrayal, and fear. Her final reflection in a puddle showed sharp, determined eyes. "I will never be fooled again," she whispered. Emily returned to her apartment after the courtroom drama. The rain had cleared, but London's night air was sharp and cold. Her hands still trembled slightly, not from fear, but from adrenaline. Though Sophie was behind bars, Emily sensed that the threat was not fully over. Anonymous messages, cryptic emails, and a lingering feeling of being watched told her that Sophie's network still had reach. Emily poured herself a cup of tea, trying to calm her racing thoughts. "The terrifying truth isn't just about Sophie," she whispered to herself. "There's more. I can feel it." Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "You've seen the surface. The depths are darker than you know." Emily's heart raced. The suspense returned immediately. She realized her journey was far from over. The next day, Marcus called with urgent news. "Emily, I found something. Someone named Alex Donovan is connected to Sophie's network. High-level manipulations, offshore accounts, possibly linked to organized crime." Emily felt her stomach tighten. Another layer of danger, another shadow lurking. "We need to be extremely careful," Marcus warned. "This isn't just personal anymore. It's bigger than both of us." Emily nodded. Fear mingled with determination. The suspense was now elevated. She realized that the terrifying truth was part of something far larger than she had imagined. Emily began noticing subtle signs. Unfamiliar cars parked outside her apartment, shadowy figures glimpsed in reflective windows, mysterious emails containing only cryptic phrases like, "Watch your steps." The psychological tension intensified. Emily's paranoia was justified. Sophie's influence, even from prison, seemed to extend further than anyone had anticipated. Emily and Marcus devised a surveillance plan. Cameras, digital tracking, and careful observation became their daily routine. The suspense remained high, keeping Emily on edge. James tried to support Emily while rebuilding his life, but his guilt and lingering entanglement in Sophie's manipulations made every step difficult. "Emily, I want to make it right, truly. I will do whatever it takes to help you uncover the rest of this." Emily studied him carefully. "I need your honesty, James. Every detail, no matter how dark it is." James nodded, his remorse evident. "You'll get it, Emily. Everything." Even as James took responsibility, the suspense escalated. Emily knew that the real danger wasn't just James or Sophie, it was the hidden network of power and manipulation waiting in the shadows. Emily discovered that Sophie's manipulations were part of a broader scheme: financial fraud, hidden identities, and psychological control mechanisms targeting influential individuals. Each revelation deepened the suspense. Emails with cryptic codes, transactions pointing to shell companies, connections to a mysterious figure, Alex Donovan. Emily realized that the terrifying truth wasn't limited to her husband or Sophie. There was a much larger, dangerous web that could threaten her safety and sanity. One night, Emily received a package. Inside, a single USB drive and a note. "If you want the full truth, watch carefully. One wrong move and everything ends." Emily hesitated, but knew she had no choice. With Marcus's help, she reviewed the contents: encrypted documents, surveillance footage, and financial records pointing to Alex Donovan. The suspense reached its peak. Emily had discovered a network far bigger than Sophie, threatening not just her family, but potentially dozens of others. She whispered. Emily returned to her apartment after the courtroom drama. The rain had cleared, but London's night air was sharp and cold. Her hands still trembled slightly, not from fear, but from adrenaline. Though Sophie was behind bars, Emily sensed that the threat was not fully over. Anonymous messages, cryptic emails, and a lingering feeling of being watched told her that Sophie's network still had reach. Emily poured herself a cup of tea, trying to calm her racing thoughts. "The terrifying truth isn't just about Sophie," she whispered to herself. "There's more. I can feel it." Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "You've seen the surface. The depths are darker than you know." Emily's heart raced. The suspense returned immediately. She realized her journey was far from over. The next day, Marcus called with urgent news. "Emily, I found something. Someone named Alex Donovan is connected to Sophie's network. High-level manipulations, offshore accounts, possibly linked to organized crime." Emily felt her stomach tighten. Another layer of danger, another shadow lurking. "We need to be extremely careful," Marcus warned. "This isn't just personal anymore. It's bigger than both of us." Emily nodded. Fear mingled with determination. The suspense was now elevated. She realized that the terrifying truth was part of something far larger than she had imagined. Emily began noticing subtle signs. Unfamiliar cars parked outside her apartment, shadowy figures glimpsed in reflective windows, mysterious emails containing only cryptic phrases like, "Watch your steps." The psychological tension intensified. Emily's paranoia was justified. Sophie's influence, even from prison, seemed to extend further than anyone had anticipated. Emily and Marcus devised a surveillance plan. Cameras, digital tracking, and careful observation became their daily routine. The suspense remained high, keeping Emily on edge. James tried to support Emily while rebuilding his life, but his guilt and lingering entanglement in Sophie's manipulations made every step difficult. "Emily, I want to make it right, truly. I will do whatever it takes to help you uncover the rest of this." Emily studied him carefully. "I need your honesty, James. Every detail, no matter how dark it is." James nodded, his remorse evident. "You'll get it, Emily. Everything." Even as James took responsibility, the suspense escalated. Emily knew that the real danger wasn't just James or Sophie, it was the hidden network of power and manipulation waiting in the shadows. Emily discovered that Sophie's manipulations were part of a broader scheme: financial fraud, hidden identities, and psychological control mechanisms targeting influential individuals. Each revelation deepened the suspense. Emails with cryptic codes, transactions pointing to shell companies, connections to a mysterious figure, Alex Donovan. Emily realized that the terrifying truth wasn't limited to her husband or Sophie. There was a much larger, dangerous web that could threaten her safety and sanity. One night, Emily received a package. Inside, a single USB drive and a note. If you want the full truth, watch carefully. One wrong move and everything ends. Emily hesitated, but knew she had no choice. With Marcus's help, she reviewed the contents, encrypted documents, surveillance footage, and financial records pointing to Alex Donovan. The suspense reached its peak. Emily had discovered a network far bigger than Sophie, threatening not just her family, but potentially dozens of others. Emily and Marcus prepared to confront Alex Donovan, knowing that the next steps could be dangerous beyond anything they had faced. Emily's phone buzzed one last time. You think you're safe. You're already inside the game. Her hands trembled, not from fear, but from anticipation. She knew that the terrifying truth had layers still hidden, and the final confrontation would determine everything. The camera lingered on Emily's face, eyes wide, determination shining, lips pressed tight. The suspense remained unbroken, leaving viewers on edge. Emily sat alone in her dimly lit apartment, the glow of the city outside filtered through rain-streaked windows. The USB drive from Part 6 lay open on her laptop, revealing encrypted documents, surveillance footage, and financial records. Every line, every file hinted at something far more sinister than she had imagined. Alex Donovan wasn't just a name. He was a shadowy mastermind with tentacles reaching into banks, corporations, and personal lives. Emily's pulse raced as she realized Sophie had been a pawn, James had been trapped, and she, Emily, was now fully inside a dangerous game. I need to finish this, she whispered to herself. I will uncover the truth, no matter the cost. Her phone buzzed. Another cryptic message appeared. Some truths are meant to stay buried. Don't dig too deep, Emily. Emily's hands shook slightly, not from fear, but from adrenaline. The suspense was immediate. Every step forward could be a trap. Emily contacted Marcus. Together, they began tracing Alex Donovan's network. Emily, he's organized, calculating, and ruthless, Marcus warned. We'll need allies we can trust. Even James might not be fully reliable. Donovan's influence is pervasive. Emily nodded. She realized that she couldn't rely on anyone entirely. Trust was a luxury she didn't have. They identified potential insiders, employees in Donovan's network who might help them, but approaching them was dangerous. One wrong word could alert Donovan to their investigation. The suspense mounted. Every ally could be a potential betrayer. Every step forward was a calculated risk. Despite being in prison, Sophie's reach continued. Emily discovered that Sophie had smuggled messages through lawyers, contacts, and even social media posts, subtly warning Emily, manipulating James, and trying to slow down their investigation. Emily's stomach twisted. Sophie's calm, calculating nature made her a threat even from behind bars. She's testing you, Marcus said. Every message, every clue is designed to provoke fear and hesitation, but you can't let her control you. Emily nodded, steeling herself. She realized that the true suspense wasn't just the threat of physical danger, it was psychological warfare designed to make her doubt her own judgment. Emily and Marcus decided to take a calculated risk, infiltrate one of Donovan's smaller safe houses to gather intel. The streets were dark, rain reflecting streetlights like shards of glass. Every shadow could hide a threat. Every passing car could be watching. Inside the safe house, Emily's heart pounded as she sifted through files and computers. She found encrypted messages referencing unknown operatives, financial transactions, and plans that suggested Donovan's reach extended far beyond London. Suddenly, a noise, a creak of a door. Someone was entering. Emily and Marcus froze. The suspense peaked. Were they caught, or was this part of Donovan's elaborate trap? Emily held her breath. Marcus motioned for silence. A shadow moved across the corridor, a guard or a network operative. Emily's hands trembled as she typed quickly to secure the files, every second stretching like minutes. The suspense was unbearable. Emily realized that any mistake could cost them their lives. Finally, the shadow passed. They had narrowly escaped detection, but the tension lingered. Emily realized that this was only the beginning. Donovan's network was meticulous, prepared, and relentlessly dangerous. Emily finally discovered a clue leading to Donovan himself, a location where he conducted secret meetings. The suspense deepened. She could confront him, but the risk was enormous. "This is it," Emily whispered, "the final piece of the puzzle." Marcus nodded. "We must be careful. He's smarter, more dangerous than Sophie, but we have leverage now." Emily felt a mix of fear and determination. The terrifying truth was escalating. Donovan's plans were far-reaching, and the suspense intensified with every step. Emily received a mysterious call from an unknown number. The voice was calm, confident, and chilling. "Emily Harper, you're closer than you realize, but you don't know the full game yet. One wrong move, and it all ends." Emily's heart raced. She realized that Donovan wasn't just a criminal, he was a master manipulator. Every action she took was anticipated, and the suspense reached a new level. She whispered to herself, "I will not be manipulated. I will uncover everything, even if it kills me." Emily and Marcus prepared for the final confrontation with Donovan. Surveillance, strategy, and careful planning were in place. But just as they were about to move, Emily received another message. "Don't come any closer. You've already lost. Some truths are too dangerous to uncover." Her pulse spiked. Fear, adrenaline, and suspense collided. She realized the terrifying truth had layers still hidden, and the final confrontation would determine everything: lives, freedom, and the ultimate revelation. The camera lingered on Emily's determined, tense face. Her eyes glimmered with courage, fear. London was drenched in rain, the streets shimmering under streetlights like shards of glass. Emily stood by her apartment window, the USB drive with Donovan's network files open on her laptop. Every detail, every connection, every transaction revealed a labyrinth of deception more intricate than she had imagined. This isn't just Sophie, it's Donovan, and he's dangerous. Marcus appeared behind her, holding a folder with intelligence gathered from surveillance. "Emily, we've traced Donovan's operations to a central location, a private estate just outside London. This is where he coordinates everything," Marcus explained. "But be careful, he's extremely cautious and extremely dangerous." Emily nodded. Fear churned in her stomach, but determination hardened her resolve. "We finish this tonight." As they planned, Emily received a mysterious call on her secure line. The voice was calm, confident, and chilling. "Emily Harper, I see you've been busy, but the deeper you go, the closer you are to danger. Are you ready for the truth?" Emily's pulse surged. The call ended abruptly. Marcus glanced at her with concern. "That was Donovan," Marcus said gravely. "He's aware we're coming, and he's already preparing traps." The suspense was palpable. Every decision from this point forward would be a gamble. Emily knew that a single misstep could cost them their lives. That night, Sophie's prison contact managed to smuggle a note to Emily. The handwriting was eerily familiar. "Emily, Donovan is more dangerous than you know. He anticipates every move. Trust no one completely. You can't do this alone." Emily's mind raced. Sophie's warning was genuine, but could she fully trust it? Sophie had always played with perceptions, twisting truths to manipulate both James and Emily. "I don't have the luxury of waiting. I have to act now." The suspense deepened. Emily had to balance trust, caution, and courage simultaneously. Emily and Marcus drove to Donovan's estate under cover of darkness. The mansion loomed ahead, its silhouette ominous against the night sky. Security cameras blinked like watchful eyes. "We need to move carefully," Marcus whispered. "Donovan has eyes everywhere. One wrong move and we're trapped." Emily's heart raced as they slipped past the perimeter, avoiding patrols and cameras. Every shadow could be a threat. Every passing car could signal danger. The suspense was relentless. Inside, they discovered documents detailing Donovan's network, payments, hidden operatives, surveillance operations. "This is it," Emily whispered, "the heart of the operation." Suddenly, the sound of footsteps echoed behind them. They froze. A shadowed figure approached, an operative of Donovan's network. Emily and Marcus ducked behind a pillar, holding their breath. Every second felt like a minute. The operative paused, then moved on. Emily exhaled slowly, her hands trembling. "That was too close," Marcus said quietly. "He knows someone is here." Emily nodded, her mind racing. Donovan wasn't just dangerous physically, he was a master strategist, anticipating our moves, setting traps, and manipulating events from the shadows. The suspense escalated. The closer they got to Donovan, the more dangerous the situation became. Emily discovered a hidden room filled with monitors showing surveillance footage from across the city. Footage of key operatives, financial transactions, and even Emily's apartment. "He's been watching us this entire time," Emily whispered. Marcus scanned the room. "Donovan is meticulous. He's not just a criminal mastermind, he's a psychological manipulator. He wants us to make mistakes." The psychological tension grew. Every decision Emily made was a test. Every move could trigger a trap. A large screen flickered on. Donovan appeared via live video feed, calm, smiling, his voice cold and precise. "Emily Harper, I see you've been busy, but cleverness won't save you. Every move you make has been anticipated. Turn back now or face the consequences." Emily's pulse raced, but she stood firm. "I'm not turning back. The truth ends with me exposing you." Donovan's smile widened. "We'll see about that. The game is just beginning." The suspense was at its peak. Donovan's psychological control was immense, and Emily realized she was stepping into a deadly game of strategy and survival.
We've come this far. There's no turning back. Suddenly, an alarm blared throughout the mansion. Lights flashed. They had triggered a trap. From the shadows, a figure emerged, masked, armed, and moving with precision. Emily's heart pounded. Marcus readied himself. The camera lingered on Emily's tense, determined face. Emily and Marcus crouched behind heavy furniture as masked operatives moved silently through the mansion's halls. Every step echoed tension. "We can't let them find us," Marcus whispered. Emily's pulse pounded. "We need the central control room. That's where the network is managed." As they moved, a security camera pivoted directly toward them. Marcus pressed Emily against the wall. The suspense was unbearable. Would they be seen or caught in the next second? A loudspeaker crackled. Donovan's voice filled the room. "Emily Harper. Clever, but foolish. You think you can outsmart me? Every move, every breath, you're in my control." Emily's stomach tightened. Every nerve screamed danger. Donovan was orchestrating not only traps, but fear itself. Marcus whispered, "Stay calm. Focus on the path to the control room. He wants us to panic." The suspense deepened as they advanced, shadows and echoes turning ordinary hallways into deadly mazes. Emily stepped carefully, but a thin laser line triggered a silent alarm. Red lights flashed and a siren blared. "Trap!" Emily hissed, ducking behind a statue. Marcus scanned the room. Donovan prepared this for intruders. Everything is booby-trapped. One mistake, and it's over. The suspense reached a fever pitch. Every movement could activate hidden dangers. Emily received a hidden message on a concealed phone. It was from Sophie. "The path you take is visible. Trust no one. Look for the hidden door behind the library's wall." Emily's mind raced. Could she trust Sophie? Sophie had manipulated them before. But this might be the only way forward. "We have to follow this lead," Emily decided, taking the calculated risk. The suspense built. Would this trap lead to escape or a dead end? Emily and Marcus found a false panel behind the library shelves. Prying it open revealed a dark staircase leading downward. "This is it," Marcus said quietly. They descended into the basement, the air cold and damp. Shadows danced across the walls, heightening tension. Every step brought them closer to Donovan, but also closer to danger.
At the basement's end, Emily discovered a room filled with monitors and computers controlling Donovan's network. Screens showed live feeds of operatives, financial transactions, and Emily herself. "This is the core," Emily whispered. "We can end this tonight." Suddenly, alarms blared. Operatives were closing in. Emily and Marcus had seconds to act. Suspense escalated. Their discovery made them targets immediately. Emily and Marcus moved swiftly, disabling some security systems and scrambling the monitors. A masked operative lunged at Emily. She ducked, narrowly avoiding capture. "We're running out of time," Marcus shouted. Every second was a test of skill, courage, and intelligence. The suspense was relentless. Donovan's face appeared on the monitors, calm, smiling, and terrifying. "I warned you, Emily. Curiosity is deadly. Do you see now? You've stepped into my world, and worlds like mine don't forgive." Emily's hands trembled. Fear threatened to paralyze her, but she stood firm. "You've underestimated me," her voice steadied. "This ends tonight." The psychological tension reached its peak. Donovan was not just a criminal, he was a master manipulator. A loud crash echoed. One of Marcus's contacts, supposedly an ally, revealed themselves as Donovan's mole. They attempted to trap Emily and Marcus inside a room filling with smoke. Emily's mind raced. "We need an exit." Using her intelligence, Emily discovered a hidden ventilation shaft. They squeezed through, barely escaping the smoke-filled chamber. Suspense escalated with every heartbeat. The betrayal was a reminder that trust was fragile in Donovan's world. Emily and Marcus emerged in a secret outdoor corridor surrounded by guards. Using the information from the control room, Emily triggered a silent alert, calling local authorities who had been coordinating remotely. Guards were distracted, allowing them to escape further into the estate. Donovan's psychological control was challenged, but he was still out there, watching, planning, anticipating. Suspense remained intense. The final confrontation was imminent.
"This isn't just about me and James. Donovan has evidence that could ruin lives if released," Emily whispered. Suddenly, a hidden panel slid open. Donovan's silhouette appeared, smirking in the shadows. "Emily Harper, welcome to the endgame," Donovan said calmly. The camera focused on Emily's tense, determined face, heart pounding, eyes wide. This was the ultimate suspense moment. Emily's heart raced as she stood in the shadows of Donovan's private estate. Rain fell in heavy sheets, lightning illuminating the mansion like a cinematic backdrop. The encrypted file labeled Harper Exposure burned in her mind. Donovan had one final trick. "This is it, Marcus," Emily whispered. "Everything we've worked for comes down to tonight." Marcus checked the perimeter. "Authorities are ready, but remember, Donovan thrives on psychological warfare. Don't let him manipulate you." Every nerve in Emily's body was alert. Suspense hung in the air like electricity before a storm. Inside the mansion, Donovan appeared on a massive monitor, calm, composed, smiling, a predator surveying his prey. "Emily Harper, clever, persistent, but ultimately predictable. Welcome to my world," Donovan taunted. Emily felt a cold shiver. She realized the trap wasn't just physical, it was mental. Every choice she made, every reaction was being watched, analyzed, and potentially manipulated. "We're not afraid of you," Emily said, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. Donovan's smile widened. "Fear is only the beginning. Let's see how clever you really are." Suspense escalated as Emily prepared for a game that was as much mental as it was physical. The mansion itself became a maze of danger. Hidden passages, surveillance traps, and false rooms made navigation deadly. Emily and Marcus moved cautiously, guided by Sophie's prior warning about hidden pathways. But the uncertainty of trust added psychological tension. Every door could conceal a threat. Every shadow could hide a gun barrel. Suspense tightened with each step. Emily whispered, "Stay focused. Donovan has planned for every move we might make." Emily received a smuggled note from Sophie. "Donovan isn't the only threat. He's a chess piece in a larger game. Watch every ally, every step, every room. Trust your instincts." Suspense intensified. Sophie's advice was cryptic, but it could be the key to survival. Emily knew she had to remain hyper-aware, navigating not just Donovan's traps, but hidden manipulations beyond him. "We have to trust ourselves," Emily told Marcus, "not anyone else." Emily and Marcus reached the central control room where Donovan's full network of operations was displayed: live feeds, encrypted files, financial accounts, and even private surveillance of Emily and James. Donovan appeared in person, calm and unflinching. "You've come far, Emily, but this is where it ends." Emily's mind raced. Every instinct screamed danger, but she also noticed inconsistencies in Donovan's approach. A hidden opportunity presented itself. Donovan tried to manipulate Emily into surrendering the Harper exposure file. He threatened to release damaging evidence to the world. Emily's heart pounded. Suspense peaked. Every decision could trigger catastrophe. Using her intelligence, Emily countered Donovan's threats by remotely encrypting the files and sending duplicates to authorities worldwide. "You underestimated me," Emily said, voice steady. Donovan's smile faltered slightly, the psychological battle now tilted, but he wasn't done. Donovan lunged, attempting a physical takeover. Marcus intervened, creating chaos. Furniture overturned, alarms blared, and flashes of gunfire illuminated the room. Emily and Donovan engaged in a tense struggle, suspense peaking with every second. Donovan's physical and mental aggression combined created a near-death scenario. Emily used agility and cunning, exploiting Donovan's overconfidence, finally gaining control of the room. Suddenly, one of Donovan's closest operatives, previously loyal, revealed themselves as an insider aiding Emily. "Emily, now's your chance," the operative whispered, providing access to Donovan's hidden accounts and escape routes. Emily realized that alliances were fluid, trust had limits, and intuition was the only guide. Suspense mounted as Donovan noticed the shift and prepared for one last desperate move.
"Even if I fall, you'll never truly be safe. Shadows remain. People you trust aren't what they seem." Emily stared him down. Every fiber of her being was tense. She had been tested by fear, betrayal, and deception, but she refused to be manipulated further. "The game ends now," Emily said firmly. Suspense remained razor-sharp. Donovan's confidence wavered as Emily dismantled his network, neutralizing his threats completely. Emily contacted authorities to fully neutralize Sophie's lingering manipulations. All hidden accounts, contacts, and communications were exposed. "Sophie won't harm anyone else," Emily whispered. Relief mingled with lingering tension. James approached, remorseful and cautious. "Emily, we've survived this," he said softly. Emily nodded, realizing that trust could now be rebuilt, but only slowly. Suspense remained in the emotional aftermath, showing that trauma doesn't vanish immediately. Emily walked out of the mansion at dawn. Rain glistened on the pavement, reflecting city lights. Donovan was captured, Sophie neutralized, the network dismantled. But Emily knew vigilance would always be necessary. She paused, looking at her reflection in a puddle, sharp, determined eyes staring back. "I survived the terrifying truth," she whispered, "but the shadows, they never truly leave." The camera lingered on Emily's silhouette, rain falling around her, the city waking, suspenseful music rising. The final shot held, leaving viewers with lingering tension, awe, and a sense that Emily's story, while victorious, was only part of a larger, shadowy world.
Thanks a ton for watching our videos. We hope it kept you hooked. If you loved it, smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Auntie Celine. Tell us in the comments which city or country you're watching from. We love reading your messages. Keep supporting us and get ready. We'll meet you in the next exciting video.